So here we have Miss Stacia. She is one of a shining example of the best that Babson College puts out into the world. She's the CEO and co-founder of Alcove. It's a zero waste home care products line. Thanks so much for taking the time, Stacia.
Of course, and thank you so much for that very kind introduction as well.
Oh, I barely scratched the surface. I mean, if you look at your achievements, it's pretty insane. Like every other day, I see some post about you coming up on LinkedIn, not necessarily posted by you. Either you won a competition. Now, Stasia, how many pitch competitions have you won? Is it less or more than 100 at this point?
Oh, definitely less. But yeah, I've been going to a lot of competitions. I think it's a really great way to first of all just like practice your pitch, but also it's basically like free money, equity free money, so you can just get funding to really grow your business.
Yeah. I was watching another podcast that you were part of with a professor, and then you spoke about how Alcove came into being, what is the logic behind it. But I think I really want to use this opportunity, like when I speak to entrepreneurs, to really get in their minds, to kind of shine a light on, probably things that are unsaid or, at least not publicly spoken about. So, in your case, what was the driving reason for you to pursue entrepreneurship, that too at such an early phase of your life where you're still in school, where you have your academic obligations, where you have a million other things? I think you're involved in e-tower as well as the vice president. I'm sure there are many things that you have not mentioned publicly. So what is driving you to do this?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I always knew that I know this is like a commonly used phrase, but I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I started in elementary school. I used to sell like rubber band bracelets that I would make. In middle school, I would make custom made lip balms and sell that.
Wow.
So I always enjoyed the process of making a product from scratch and then getting it into people's hands and seeing how happy it made them. Obviously, I didn't know at the time that was even entrepreneurship. I just kind of enjoyed it. And so I decided to start Alcove because of my own struggles that I was having with allergies and asthma. And I just realized that all of these experiences that I was having was because of the products that I was using. And so I knew that I wanted to make a better solution, not only for myself, but for the millions of people going through the same thing I was, but then also the planet.
And when this idea came to you, was it did you just did it come to your mind like a flash and then you started working on it, or did it curdle over a few days or a few months and then it started becoming into reality? Like what is the reality of, in your case, how Elkov came into being?
Oh yeah, I mean it was a very long process. I came up with the idea originally in high school. We actually I went through a couple variations of like product possibilities before we launched the version that we have now, which was a year ago. So it was definitely years and years and years of trial and error. Even the formulation for the products we have now took over a year working with the chemist. So it definitely, it was a long process to even just get started.
And Alcove has a dish soap and a couple of hand soap variants as well. How did you come up with the decision to launch these particular SKUs, or is it that something that it came through your? Did you do some research on it, or is it something because you needed it personally? That's why you created. Like how did the current product lineup come into being?
Yeah, so we originally launched in January of 2023 with just our dish soap. And the main reason that we decided to launch that product first was because there wasn't something like it on the market. It was really one of the first zero waste dish soaps that was refillable. You know, there were other options on the market, but they weren't completely zero waste, toxic free, and doing what we were doing. So it was kind of just a niche area that we knew we could kind of get into and offer a product that wasn't really popular. And then once we kind of had that, people were like, "Oh, do you have hand soap as well?" You know, it's kind of like the same thing. Basically, you wash your dishes, you wash your hands. So it was an easy choice to move to there. And then we have a few other products hopefully launching within the next year as well.
And again, when you decided to launch, who were the first people you spoke to about this, and what was their response? And in your personal story and what you went through, who were the people who actually supported you and are the one of the reasons why Elko has become so successful?
Yeah, I think it was honestly just talking with potential customers, family, friends, really anyone that you can get access to at the start. It's really hard to reach out to people in the beginning stages. You know, you're just starting out. For me, it was really easy as well because I'm a student. So a lot of people are more willing to help out students as well if you're just looking to talk to them and help, ask for help.
Mhm.
But yeah, really, it was just my amazing family, my friends around me. They were really great people to test with as well
Hmm.
and pick their brains.
During the testing phase, was there any interesting incidents that happened that you might want to reveal now?
Luckily, no,
Oh,
no, it was all went super smooth. So,
that's good. That's a good sign. At least you didn't lose any family members over your business,
yes,
so that's a good
yes.
sign. And one thing that you rightly said earlier is winning pitch competitions is great. It gives you validation. It puts out the word, free money, and it kind of forces you to really shape the story of your business as well as the product offering, and of course get feedback along with it. I've won a few pitch competitions, but not nearly as much as you have. What is the secret behind, like, if you were to give an advice to a junior or someone who's wants to pursue your path, what would you recommend them they do if they do want to venture into the world of business pitch competitions and hopefully succeed in it?
Yeah, I think I encourage everyone to do pitch competitions. That's been one of the main ways that I've been able to fund my business, and it's just truly incredible. I think the number one thing is just to share your story and lead with your story. That's what I found works for me. I've done lots of different pitch competitions from, more of the technical chemistry side to more of just like general pitches and business pitches. And I always lead with my story first. And I think that's what really is able to kind of separate, myself from everyone else. And I think just first of all, just taking the time to apply to every pitch competition that you see and not getting discouraged. You're not going to get into every. I've gotten denied from like half of the ones I applied to. So just keep applying, and then when you get in, just lead with your story and just show your passion. I think that's also very important.
Speaking about your story, I think one thing that you do exceptionally well, and I myself am inspired by it, is how you market yourself or how you share your story to the outside world, specifically on LinkedIn. In my case, that I see you have a couple of pictures with you holding like large scissors, which is brilliant. You obviously have a lot of posts that tag you because you've won the competition or you're part of some event. That's great. And also, I think that if you go through a lot of the content that you put out, it's not so much, hey, look at what I've done. It's more like, hey, this is my story, this is what I experienced, and these are my thoughts based on my story and experiences. So again, advice time for other entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. It is a good idea to share your story because people care about stories, people can relate to them and support you in a way. What would your advice be for them when they do decide to pursue entrepreneurship and decide putting themselves out there in the world to see?
Yeah, definitely try to just lead with your story again. And don't be afraid. I know it can be really hard to like get more vulnerable on the internet, whatever that might mean for you. For me, I remember even just posting a picture of myself with like swollen eyes that I had like from allergies. Like I was terrified. I was like, I don't want anyone to see these pictures. But I realized it is an important part of my story and it shows what I went through as well. So I think just, also sharing your failures. You're not always going to succeed, sharing the tough times, and also just sharing how creative you were in the process. I think people love seeing how a product was made, how a service was created, whatever you're working on. People love seeing the behind the scenes. So, for example, like I made all of my packaging on Canva, and so that was really fun for me to be able just to share that side of the journey as well.
That's funny because like when we started working together with Zena and Alcove, I think one of the first things that I asked you is like, hey, can you connect me with your designer? I'd love to make a few changes. And you're like, yeah, you're talking to her. And I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, that's interesting because I mean, designing, being creative is a certain skill set that not a lot of people have. But you seem to have pushed yourself to move towards that direction and use tools like Canva to just bring about the packaging. So how was that journey like? Did you do it because you were good at it, or you liked it, or you felt that that is something you wanted to test out yourself?
Yeah, I think it was a mix. I mean, I really enjoy being part of the creative process, but it also comes down to the fact that at the end of the day, like Alcove is a startup, and especially when you're, trying to launch a product, we didn't have a lot of funds, and so I had to learn to be creative. I had to learn how to do everything myself. Spent lots of time researching, testing, playing around on Candle, looking what other people were doing. So it was a mix of kind of necessity to do it, and also just wanting to be a little bit part of the process, but hopefully in the future I don't have to be as involved with every step.
Now let's talk about something else, but it's very relevant to entrepreneurs: mental health. Have you received any feedback, unsolicited or otherwise, that kind of hooked you in the wrong place, affected you, maybe annoyed you for a few hours? Has that ever happened? And if so, like, can you share what that was?
Yeah, I think, I mean, mental health with entrepreneurs is super important. It can be very, very lonely as well with everything that you're doing, and a lot of people are going to have advice and feedback for you, whether you asked for it or not. I think it's just like everyone always has the best intentions for you. But at the end of the day, I think it's just important that you know yourself best, you know your capacity, do what you love, but don't push yourself too much as well.
Loneliness is a very interesting, like, obviously entrepreneurs have experienced it, but from the outside it may seem, wow, flashy. They've raised money, they have a product, look at them, being so confident on stage, putting themselves out there, amazing. It's like a beginning of a Netflix show. But very few people realize what the mental stress is, the responsibility of pushing yourself and everyone around you and your product and your customers ahead, and constantly repeating the same thing about your business, trying to reach as many people as possible. It is extremely lonely. You will get a lot of advice, but at the end of the day, it is you who have to take the. I think that's something a lot of people don't understand about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you spot on with everything that you said.
Yeah, it's and let me tell you, it's going to continue. It's not going to go away, but it's fine. We signed up for it, and everyone knows
Yeah,
it at some level.
part of the process.
Part of the process. Do you think, if you were to go back in time, there's something else you would do differently?
I That's a really good question, honestly. I would like to say no, but I think that probably yes, because I think you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and I know I've made a lot of mistakes along the process. Um, it all just comes down to learning from them. So,
Mm-hmm.
every mistake I made, I learned from, got better, whether that was personally, professionally, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that may be. So, yes, it may have been nice to not, make the mistake in the first place, but at the end of the day, it taught a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I can say, like, for our packaging, for example, we spent a lot of time really testing the formulation and making sure that our formulation was top tier. And we created packaging that we also tested, but we didn't spend enough time testing it as much as the formulations. And so we had to redo the packaging to make it new because it wasn't holding the product as well as we wanted it to. So I just learned, you have to really test every aspect of your product as well, and not, rush production too fast. But
Hmm.
yeah, all comes down to learning.
It does. And if I may ask you, if someone were to write you $1 million check today, what would be your first thoughts, firstly, and what would you do with the money?
I would use it for Alcove with expansion. I think right now we're in the process of going into retail.
Mm.
So helping with that, as well as developing more of our B2B side, which we have products that can make 1 gallon of refills that can work for like hotels or Airbnbs. So it would really just help with all of the plans that we have, all of the products that we have ready to, launch as well. So really just expansion, marketing, but absolutely everything I would use it for Alcove and growth.
So, do you think that the money is a factor that is restraining Alcove from growing as fast as it possibly should?
I think so. In the moment, yeah, I think it's tough sometimes to grow as fast as you want as a startup. You have all of these amazing ideas, and then you have to find ways to execute them. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have not as much funding, you have to get creative with it. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a slower process.
Hmm. And you are a solo founder. You are an active founder, right? In this in Alcove.
Yes, I co-founded it with my mom actually, but she's my
That's great.
COO, so handles all of the operational sides. We manufacture everything ourselves in Texas, so that's where I'm originally from. So when I'm away, she handles it all for me as well.
I don't think
While
you're
I do
away ever. I think you're the one who's leading everything from the front, at least.
Yes, so I focus more on like the business development, figuring out what Alcove has for the future, and really making sure that everything is being executed, as well as being part of the creative process and all the other small things that come with it.
Nice. And looking at growth, do you have any plans to onboard more people to your team? And if so, what kind of roles are you looking for?
Yeah, I think definitely in the future, as we grow, we're definitely going to be looking to hire part-time, possibly for manufacturing, for marketing, really just helping expand the the roles that I'm not the best at. I know I'd have my weaknesses, so trying to find people to supplement that.
You can't say that out loud. That's a you know founders kind of weaknesses, apparently. At least that's what the world thinks. uh,
Yeah, and you have to. I think it's important to recognize where you lack skills and
Mhm.
find people to complement that because you need to ask for help. You can't do it all.
You had also some experience working with one of our customers and my friends, David from Detropel. What was your experience like working in Detropel?
Oh, it was amazing. I wanted to work at Dutch because I thought that one David's story is just absolutely inspiring. Everything that he's done. I saw what he did, and I was like, wow, I want to do exactly that with my industry. So it was just a really great experience to be able to be in that environment, see firsthand how amazing he is of a leader, and how just amazing of a company culture that he's created as well, and just really learn firsthand.
Nice. And in your opinion, what role has Babson and its infrastructure and the people played in your in the position that you are in right now?
I definitely don't think I would have been able to be here if it wasn't for Babson. One, just their support of the network, the resources here. Everyone is just so incredibly kind and really wants to see you succeed as well. And so, whether that be through connecting you with the right people, the mentors, just even the funding opportunities, whether that be through the Blank Center or through eTower where I live, it's just been absolutely incredible. And there's just so many resources for you.
Mm.
If you don't know where to go, someone will help you out.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think the positioning or the messaging that Babson is the number one school for entrepreneurship is spot on, and there's a reason they have maintained that position for what is it, 30 years at this point, if not more.
Something like that.
Rightfully so, because the people in it, I think, is what affects the whole mindset. Where when you live with entrepreneurs, when you live with people who are looking to build something from nothing, you inculcate that mindset yourself, and plus the infrastructure around you
Absolutely.
is kind of focused towards that as well. So I think Babson's great in that regard. And I think one of the reasons we got connected is because, full disclosure, we work together. Zena works with Alcove, and since I look at the e-commerce data, at least specifically on Amazon, I know how well Alcove is doing. I won't be giving out numbers, but let's just say it's the growth trajectory has been one of the best that I've seen, and I've worked with a lot of brands at this point.
Thank you.
And I would contribute that squarely at how good the product is, packaging, of course, messaging, how it resonates with people, the number of customers who are coming time and time again from buying it. I mean, you must realize Amazon is the most competitive marketplace in the
Yeah.
world. There are potentially more than 10,000 different hand soap brands, dishwash brands, mostly Chinese, low cost products, fast moving products. You have large companies like P&G in the space. You have a lot of mom and pop brands in the space. And there, where Elko has succeeded so well, in my opinion, is of the brand positioning and the quality of the product. And I think rightfully you said it may seem from the outside, maybe you just white labeled this hand soap from some manufacturing facility in China, or maybe you're just mixing two hand washes and calling it a day, but you have invested so much time into this, and that is being reflected in the performance right now. And is there any advice you would like to give to entrepreneurs, again, who are looking into getting into the CPG space, but are bombarded with the possibilities of either white labeling or drop shipping brands that they may not have been involved in developing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a really easy choice to manufacture everything ourselves and really take, everything, keep everything in house because I wanted to make sure that we were part of every single step of the process, whether that's working with the chemist for the formulation, mixing the product, making the product, filling the product, shipping it out to customers. We are the ones that are making sure that every step of the process is up to our standards to make sure that the customer is getting the best experience that they deserve. And I just think that that's not possible, with a lot of the other options that you mentioned. And to me, it was just really important to create a safe product that was also very high quality because I think trust is really important. When you're asking somebody to switch over to your brand, you're asking them to trust your product. And I think making sure that you have that trust and build on that trust, you have to make sure that you can deliver on your promises. And so for us, it was pretty easy to decide, that we want to keep it in house.
Nice, and I'm very glad you did. And how has your experience been working with my team at Xena?
It's been absolutely incredible, and I attribute a lot of our success to everything that you've been doing. So thank you so much. Amazon it's tough to figure out and to navigate, and there's so many different things, from even optimizing the listing is like a whole thing on its own. So yeah, definitely attribute to all of our successes as well to you on Amazon. It's been
I
amazing.
would attribute it to my software and my team as well, who, I mean, they love working for Alcove. I mean, it's just one of those brands that yields like quick growth results. And because it has so much potential, that we were able to test out a lot of things quite quickly and identify what is work. So the problem with launching a new brand on Amazon is that it takes a lot of time, years even, to gain any kind of organic traction. It's very expensive. The reviews even can make or break a product, but in Alcove's case, it has it has actually worked in your favor.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen that. So thank you.
And in terms of customers, what are some of the top three things that you've heard from your customers who are not your friends and family about Alcove products?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we've been getting lots of great feedback, which is amazing to see. I think some of the products or some of the reviews say that wow, this product actually works, which is really important as well for more of like the natural side, non-toxic formulations. It's just been great to see how people love the experience of receiving the product as well. All of our kits come with these little knit animals. I have them right here, I can show, but
I did
these little
not
knit
know that.
animals.
Is that an octopus?
Yes, we have an octopus, a turtle, and a whale. And so when
Look
someone
at
orders a
that.
starter kit, there's a little surprise in there for them. And so just getting to see that whole experience has been mainly those reviews as well.
That is, do you knit those yourself? Like, where do you get those?
So we work with an organization called the Turtleman Foundation. So they are hand knit by women in Ecuador, and then the proceeds also go to turtle conservation.
Look at I was not aware of that. No wonder the customers are delighted. The returns rate that I've seen is one of the lowest. I mean, it kind of makes sense now. Those turtles, who would want to return those cute octopus?
Little surprise.
That is fascinating. Do you include anything else in the packaging as well?
Just a little note as well from, the founder, and then how it works.
Got it.
So pretty simple.
Very nice. And looking ahead, looking into the future, I've spoken to over, I think, 200 founders at this time, and I've always asked them one question, like what is the end game that they have in mind, and these are the few options that I've received, or what is the reason that they're doing what they're doing right now. So one is because they want to express the creativity, innovation, something that comes from within. Second is they like being in an environment of risk. They like living on the edge, quote unquote. Third is financial reward. Um, Big risk, big reward. You only live once, kind of a situation. And fourth is having a sense of building a team or being a leader, expressing your leadership qualities. So, amongst these or any other option, what is the number one factor that is driving you to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I think one, just impact. I love what I'm doing, and love the impact I'm making. But aside from that, I think I've never liked being told what to do. So I
Yeah.
love kind of being the decision maker and getting to play around with my decisions and see, okay, if I do this, what's going to happen? If I do this, what's going to happen? It's fun to be able to kind of take charge.
Hmm. Independence, yes, that is. I forgot about it. That is a big reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And looking forward, what do you have in mind? What's upcoming for Elko and for you personally or professionally as well?
Yeah, so for Alcove, hopefully, like I said earlier, going into retail relatively soon, developing all of that packaging as well, launching new products, really growing our line. Long-term future goal is I want to be the brand that people think of when you think of sustainable home care. So everything that we're doing is for that goal. And then
And
personally, I just got into Babson Summer Venture Program.
so,
So
congrats. That is very
thank
hard to
you.
get into. Extremely hard to get. Congrats, yeah.
Thank you. So
Mhm.
I'll just be spending my whole summer, for 10 weeks working on Alcove. Super excited. It's going to be a really great, amazing opportunity to just focus in and do what I love.
Nice, nice. I'm a mentor for that as well. But when I was a student, I got rejected. So I have a little bit of bittersweet emotions associated with SVP. But I know my friends who got in and they're doing exceptionally well. It was so useful, perhaps one of the best programs for early stage startups right now. So congrats on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that's good. Thank you so much for taking the time, Stasia. And to whoever's listening, I would say that just keep her in mind. She has a huge potential ahead of us. I'm pretty sure next year, if I try to reach out for another conversation, you would be too busy to do that. I'm so confident. So that's I'm glad I
No,
was able to
never.
I was able to catch you now, and hopefully we'll continue tracking your story. It's great. And I would like to also say that you obviously have shown so much grit. You have so much early success. There will be periods where things might not look great. Things might
Mhm.
look down. It may seem bleak. It may seem like everything is coming to a crash. But at that time is when all this grit that you've built up will really come into use, and that is when you have the team and support system around you to like take it over the edge. I'm sure you wouldn't need it, but I'm sure even if things don't go well, I'm sure you have the ability to overcome it, and come back more strongly than ever before.
Thank you. It's incredibly kind. Great advice.
All right, thanks, Isha.
Thank you.